Morning students, today we are going to redo one lesson, that is Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. Why do we do this again? Because one of the class said that this lesson is not taught for them. So it is actually autobiography of whom? Nelson Mandela. So you know who is Nelson Mandela, isn't it? So before you read, let us see. Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. What is apartheid? Apartheid is a color discrimination. Can you say which of the three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? The answer is South Africa. Have you heard of Nelson Mandela? Mandela and his African National Congress spent a lifetime of fighting against apartheid. What is apartheid? Color discrimination. Elections are held in South Africa in 1994 and Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. In this extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion, the inauguration. Can you guess what the occasion might be? Check your guess with this news item from BBC of 10th May 1994. Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. Who ruled them? White people ruled them. Then who became the president of South Africa? Nelson Mandela. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress, that is ANC in the short form, party won 252 of the 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria today, attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. So here it is written about Pretoria. What is actually Pretoria is actually the capital of South Africa. Another thing, it is written amphitheatre. Amphitheatre is a building without a roof with many rows of seats rising in steps. Especially you can see amphitheatre in Greece and Rome. So Nelson Mandela has become the first black president. And after more than how many centuries of white rule? 3 centuries of white rule. Mr. Mandela actually won in the election, and how much vote their party got it? 252, and total there were 400 seats. And the first democratic election was held, and Nelson Mandela was elected as the president. And in connection after becoming for the function is there because he became the president, isn't it? The inauguration ceremony was held in the Union Buildings and especially in the amphitheatre in the Pretoria, and it was attended by the different politicians and dignitaries from how many countries? From 140 countries. That is around the world, you can imagine. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his address. When he addressed the gathering, he said that now in future, never these black people will face this apartheid. Jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria followed the ceremony with blacks, whites and colored celebrating together. So that inauguration function was not only for the black people, all the representatives from the different countries were there. So colored people were also there. More than 100,000 South African men, women and children of all races sang and danced with joy. They all danced with joy. That is the occasion. Who is going to speak about? That is the portion actually taken from whose autobiography? Nelson Mandela's autobiography. So which function is there? Inaugural function of the first democratic government, isn't it? So before that, starting the lesson, there is an activity for you. You have to make a guess and match column A and column B. I will give you the answer. A rainbow gathering of different colors and nations means A beautiful coming together of various peoples like the colors in a rainbow. And the seat of white supremacy means the center of racial superiority. Be overwhelmed with a sense of history means feel deeply emotional, remembering and understanding all the past events that have led up to a moment. Next, fourth one, resilience that defies the imagination. That is the fourth one, a great ability, almost unimaginable, to remain unchanged by the suffering, that is not losing hope, goodness or courage. Then the fifth one is a glimmer of humanity, that is a sign of human feeling, goodness, kindness, pity, justice, etc. Last one, a twilight existence means a half secret life, like a life lived in the fading light between sunset and darkness. Then lesson starting 10th May, dawned bright and clear. It is the morning of 10th May, dated. It was an early morning. Morning was very bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. Besieged by me, surrounded by. I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries, very famous people, and the great leaders who were coming to pay their respect before the inauguration. They all, the people who were the invited guests, they are the dignitaries and the world leaders. They all came and gathered, they're all surrounded and who was in the center? Nelson Mandela, before the inauguration. The inauguration will be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. South Africa, this is the first time all these leaders were gathered together. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. So where did the ceremony taken place? In the amphitheatre. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy. നൂറ്റാണ്ടുകളായി ഇത് ആരുടെ കീഴിലായിരുന്നു? വെള്ള ആൾക്കാരുടെ, അതായത് white supremacy ആയിരുന്നു. And now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors. A rainbow gathering of different colors. That is a beautiful coming together of various peoples, like the colors in a rainbow. Rainbowയിലെ colors പോലെ പലതരത്തിലുള്ള ആൾക്കാരുടെ ഒരു കൂടിച്ചേരൽ ആയിരുന്നു ഈ ഫംഗ്ഷൻ. And for the installation, for what purpose they reached there? Installation means putting in a new position of authority of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. What is the occasion? It is the inaugural function of South Africa's first democratic government. See, the other Nelson Mandela had specified that is non-racial, no color discrimination. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Senani on the podium. So when the Nelson Mandela reached there, who was also along with him, his daughter was there. Mr. D. Klerk was the first sworn in as second deputy president, who was the first one taken the oath, that is Mr. D. Klerk. And as what he has taken the oath as the second deputy president. രണ്ടാമത്തെ ഡെപ്യൂട്ടി പ്രസിഡന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ആര് ശപഥം ചെയ്തു? മിസ്റ്റർ ഡി ക്ലർക്ക്. ഈ ഫംഗ്ഷനിലെ ആദ്യത്തെ. നെക്സ്റ്റ്, then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. Thabo ആയിരുന്നു first deputy president ആയിട്ട് ശപഥം ചെയ്തത്. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the Constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and its people. Next, whose stance was there? Nelson Mandela's stance was there, and he had taken the oath to obey and uphold the Constitution and devote himself. He was ready to devote himself for whom? For the well-being of the Republic and its people. For whose welfare he was ready to work? The welfare of the people. And to the assembled guests and the watching world, I said. Now it is a little portion of his speech. the speech is taken. Today, all of us do by our presence here confer. Confer means give glory. Glory means dignity. And hope to newborn liberty. നിങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരും ഇവിടെ കൂടിച്ചേർന്നത് കാരണം ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്ത് കിട്ടിയെന്നാ പറയുന്നത്? We are dignified and we are filled with what? Hope. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. We are all very proud because we could form a new democratic non-racial government. We who were outlaws not so long ago and have today been given the rare privilege to be the host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We who were outlaws because of this policy of apartheid, many countries had earlier broken off diplomatic relations with whom? South Africa. Isn't it? Because of what they had broken off the diplomatic relations? Because of the apartheid. And we have today, they have got a chance to what? Special right to host the nations who were earlier not ready to be in a diplomatic connection with whom? With the South Africa. Now we got an opportunity to host whom? The nations of the world on our own soil. So we are very proud because all the world leaders are gathered here. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. So he is conveying his gratitude because they are all gathered there for the what function? For the inaugural function. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. Emancipation means freedom from restriction. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty. So he is taking the oath, and what is he saying? I am ready to remove the people, means give freedom to the people from what? From the bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender and other discriminations. What is deprivation means? State of not having one's rightful benefits. Discrimination means being treated differently or unfavorably. So, I am taking the oath. I am swearing that I will not let my people to what? To the racial discrimination. I will give them liberty in future also. That's what who had said in the speech, Nelson Mandela. Never, never. And never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. So never in future this will happen. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. So because even the sun will not set, because they got a very glorious achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. That was the last words of Nelson Mandela. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters and troop carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. So secretaries, isn't it? Union buildings. So why they were all shocked or surprised? Because they had seen a spectacular array. What is spectacular array means? An impressive display, colorful and very attractive display of whom? The Air Force. What are the things he had seen there? Helicopters, South African jets and troop carriers. They were all making a formation where? Over the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. It's not only they are showing a display. It is actually what it was they are showing through this demonstration. They are showing their loyalty to what? To the democratic government. See, and only moments before, the highest generals of South African Defence Force and Police, their chest bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. So he was actually enjoying this, isn't it? So there were so many officers having bedecked. Bedecked means decorated. With what? With the ribbons and medals from day gone by. So generally for the defense people, if they are serving in a particular field area, they will get different colors of what? Ribbons and medals. So generally in the such functions, formal functions, they will pin up all the medals in their uniforms. So bedecked means decorated their uniforms with all the ribbons and the what? Medals. So those officers saluted whom? Saluted the President of Africa. Who is the President of Africa? Nelson Mandela. I am not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. Not unmindful means conscious of. I am very much aware that so before this function, they were all ready. They were all in front to arrest me, because who used to fight against the apartheid? Nelson Mandela used to fight against the apartheid. So those people now in this function are saluting whom? Saluting Nelson Mandela. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets, a pattern in the shape of V pattern they made, whom by the Impala jets, left a smoke trail of black, red, green, blue and gold of a new South African flag. So these jets, what color smoke they started emitting? The colors of the South African flag. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems. Next he is remembering about the national anthems they played. Which are the two national anthems he is mentioning? And the vision of white singing Nkosi Sikelel Africa, and which national anthem whites were singing, that is mentioned here, and the black singing Die Stem, the old anthem of Republic. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised. They had a very once they see what it actually that day neither group, the white group or the black group, knew the lyrics of the anthem. Isn't it? They did not know the wordings of this anthem. They once despised. They had a very low opinion of those anthems. They would soon know the words by heart. So he is assuring that once they used to have a very low opinion of their anthems. Now what he is saying, they will all know the words of what? The words of by heart. Which were about what words he is specifying? The anthem, national anthems. On the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means filled with emotion, with a sense of history. In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth, the white-skinned people of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned people of their own land. So he is actually before his birth, the white people who reigned there in South Africa, what did they do? They made a lot of discrimination. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies the world was ever known. ഏറ്റവും വെറുക്കപ്പെട്ട ഒരു സൊസൈറ്റിയാണ് who formed, the white people who ruled them formed. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century and my own 8th decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedom of all peoples, regardless of the color of their skin. And they are not bothered about the color of skin. Now he formed a very beautiful democratic government, that is, all of them is to be provided with their rights and freedom. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people. How did they got this freedom? Is thousands of people sacrificed their lives. People whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. So he is remembering the people who had fought for what? For their freedom. I felt that day, as I have on so many days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had wrought. Wrought means they had achieved. സോ ആരൊക്കെയാണോ ഫ്രീഡത്തിന് വേണ്ടി ഫൈറ്റ് ചെയ്തത് അവർക്ക് താങ്ക്സ് പറയാൻ ആർക്ക് കഴിയില്ലെന്നാ പറയുന്നത്? നെൽസൺ മണ്ടേലയ്ക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞില്ല. ആക്ച്വലി ദേ were not able to see the new what democratic government they formed. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. ഒരു ഡീപ്പ് വൂണ്ടാണ് എന്ത് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തെന്നാ പറയുന്നത്? അപ്പാർത്തൈഡ് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത്. അതിൽ നിന്ന് മുക്തി നേടാനായിട്ട് കുറെ വർഷങ്ങൾ തന്നെ എടുക്കും എന്നാണ് ആര് പറയുന്നത്? നമ്മുടെ നെൽസൺ മണ്ടേല. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect. That was that it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sislers, the Chief Luthilis, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fishers, the Robert Sobaks of our time, men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. So here he is saying that because of all the difficulties they faced during this apartheid period, who were all they got new leaders. Who are they? He is used as the article, definite article the is used. So generally we don't use the definite article before whom? Before the personal pronouns, isn't it? So here proper nouns we don't use. Especially see proper nouns he like the names. What is that? The Oliver Tambos. Why the is used? Because so many Oliver Tambos were there in Africa, but that particular Oliver Tambo. So they wanted to specify that particular leader. That is why what is used there? The definite article the is used. So because of the difficulties they faced during the apartheid period, they got so many leaders. The leaders' names were mentioned here. And these people had such extraordinary, what are the qualities they had? Courage. They have extraordinary courage, wisdom. They were all very bright, and generosity, very kind, that their like not never be known again. So you cannot find such type of quality people nowadays. Perhaps it requires such depths of oppression to create such heights of character. They all had such heights of character because of the oppression. What type of oppression they had undergone? They had undergone the color discrimination. Because of the color discrimination, they had undergone a lot of hardships from them. Because of that, the leaders were formed. Clear? See, that's what who had written? Now Nelson Mandela. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil. So he is very proud to say that Africa has a lot of deposits of minerals and the what gems. But I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people. So he doesn't believe that the wealth of the country is not minerals or gems, but who is the general great wealth of the country of a country? Its people. Finer, truer than the purest diamonds. Who is purer? He is saying the people of the country, and they are the purest diamonds, not the not the diamonds we get from the soil. It is from these comrades. Comrades means friends. In the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. From the above, the last paragraph mentioned leaders. They are Oliver Tambo and all. From them who learned courage, or Nelson Mandela. Time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. Resilience means it is given there the ability to deal with any kind of hardship. Clear? So men were showing what ready to face all the hardships. I learned what did he learn? That courage was not the absence of fear. This is very important. He is saying that courage means that doesn't mean that the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. പേടിയുടെ വിജയമാണ്, പേടിയിൽ നിന്നുള്ള വിജയത്തിനെയാണ് എന്തെന്ന് പറയേണ്ടത്? കറേജ് എന്ന് പറയേണ്ടത്. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. So who is called as a brave man? Brave man is not the one who is not, does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. So, if you know how to hate, then only you will learn how to love. Even in the grimmest times, grimmest means darkest times in prison, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards. Perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to reassure me and keep me going. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Extinguished means blown out. He is saying that even in the darkest days, that is when he was in the prison, a lot of problems he faced, but still he is to find a faint light, a weak light of humanity among the gods, one of the gods. Clear? So maybe he showed the humanitarian attitude for a moment, but that was enough for whom? For Nelson Mandela. For what purpose? To reassure and keep me going. To have a fight against what? This apartheid. Man's goodness is a flame. He is comparing man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden. അത് നമുക്ക് ഒളിച്ചു വെക്കാൻ പറ്റും, പക്ഷേ അതിനെ ബ്ലോൺ ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ ഒരിക്കലും പറ്റില്ല. ബ്ലോൺ ഔട്ട് മീൻസ് എക്സ്റ്റിങ്വിഷ്, അണച്ചു കളയാൻ ഒരിക്കലും പറ്റില്ല. In life, every man has twin obligations. രണ്ട് ഡ്യൂട്ടി മനുഷ്യർക്കുണ്ട്. Obligations to his family. എന്തൊക്കെയാണ്? ഒന്ന് ഫാമിലിയോടുള്ള കടപ്പാട്, ആൻഡ് രണ്ടാമത്തത് പാരൻസിനോടുള്ളത്, വൈഫിനോടുള്ളത്, കുട്ടികളോടുള്ളത്, ആൻഡ് ഹി ഹാസ് ആൻ ഒബ്ലിഗേഷൻ ടു ഹിസ് പീപ്പിൾ. ഫാമിലിയോട് മാത്രമല്ല ഒബ്ലിഗേഷൻസ് ഉള്ളത്, കടപ്പാടുള്ളത്. ദെൻ വാട്ട് എൽസ്? ടു ഹിസ് പീപ്പിൾ, നമ്മുടെ കൺട്രിയിലെ ആൾക്കാരുടെ അടുത്തും നമുക്ക് ഒബ്ലിഗേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട്, കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിയുടെ അടുത്തുണ്ട്, കൺട്രിയുടെ അടുത്തുണ്ട്. ഇൻ എ സിവിൽ ആൻഡ് ഹ്യൂമൻ society, each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. Inclination means natural tendencies of behavior. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth and color to fulfill both of those obligations. എല്ലാവർക്കും അവരവരുടെ കൺട്രിയിൽ എന്തുണ്ടെന്ന് പറയുന്ന കൺട്രിയുടെ അടുത്തും ഒബ്ലിഗേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. പക്ഷേ സൗത്ത് ആഫ്രിക്കയിൽ ജനിക്കുന്ന ഒരാൾക്ക് എന്താണ് പോസിബിളേ അല്ല. എന്താണ്? ബിക്കോസ് ലൈക്ക് നെൽസൺ മണ്ടേലാസ് കളർ ബ്ലാക്ക് ഫുൾഫിൽ ദ ഈ ഒബ്ലിഗേഷൻസ് ഫുൾഫിൽ ചെയ്യാൻ പാടായിരുന്നു. ഏത് സമയത്ത്? അപ്പാർത്തൈഡിന്റെ സമയത്ത്. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. If a person wanted to live like a normal human being, they will be given punishment and they is to be sent in a distant places. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family, separated from his family and his home, and was forced to live in a life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. So, if he is going to do anything for the country, what will happen? He is to be removed from that area. He is to be isolated. I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family. അപ്പം ജനിച്ച ആദ്യമൊന്നും എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ സൊസൈറ്റിയിലെ ആൾക്കാർ, എൻ്റെ കുടുംബക്കാരെക്കാളും മുന്നിലൊന്നും അല്ലായിരുന്നു. He is openly written. But in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligation as a son, brother, and a father, and a husband. When I start working for the people, for the nation, I found that it is very difficult to do the obligations towards whom? In the family, as a son, because he has to give what preference to for whom first? The society first, to the country first. That who realized? Nelson Mandela. I was not born with a hunger to be free. I was born free. So he's saying that when he was small, he was just born very free. He was very free. Free in every way that I could know. Free to run in the fields near my mother's hut. എല്ലാ ഫീൽഡിലും എന്ത് ചെയ്യാം? ഓടി കളിക്കുമായിരുന്നു. Free to swim. നീന്തുന്ന സമയത്ത് നീന്താൻ പറ്റുമായിരുന്നു. In the clear stream that ran through my village. Free to roast mealies under the stars and ride the broad backs of slow-moving bulls. As long as I obeyed my father, abided by the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of a man or God. That is important. As long as I obeyed, എപ്പോഴൊക്കെയാണോ ഞാൻ അനുസരണയുള്ള കുട്ടിയായിരുന്നത്, ആരോടൊക്കെ അച്ഛനും അമ്മയും പറയുന്നതെല്ലാം കേട്ട് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ട്രൈബ്, ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഗ്രൂപ്പിന്റെ എല്ലാ കസ്റ്റംസും ഞാൻ ഫോളോ ചെയ്താൽ, I was not troubled by the laws of man or God. എന്നെ ആരും എന്തും ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്നും ആരും തടസ്സപ്പെടുത്തിയിരുന്നില്ല. That is important. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion. പെട്ടെന്ന് ചെറിയ കുട്ടിയിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു ടീനേജർ ആയപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കി എന്താണ് illusion means something that appears to be real, but it is not. I understood that this is not easy for me to get freedom, that I began to hunger for it. See, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി എൻ്റെ ഫ്രീഡം കുറഞ്ഞു വരുന്നു എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് അതിനോടുള്ള ഒരു ഹങ്കർ ആയിരുന്നു, ആർത്തിയായിരുന്നു. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself, the transitory freedom. ഒരു ടെമ്പററി ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഫ്രീഡം ആയിരുന്നു ചെറിയ കുട്ടിയായിരുന്നപ്പോൾ. And the freedom, transitory freedom of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased and go where I chose. ചെറിയ കുട്ടിയായിരുന്നപ്പോൾ ഇഷ്ടമുള്ളിടത്ത് പോവുക, രാത്രി പോവുക, ഏത് വായിക്കണം എന്നുള്ളത് വായിക്കുക എന്നൊക്കെയുള്ള ഒരു ഫ്രീഡം ആയിരുന്നു എനിക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിരുന്നത്. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedom of achieving my potential, earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. സോ ഓരോ ഏജിലും നമുക്ക് ഓരോ തരത്തിലുള്ള ഫ്രീഡമാണ് ആവശ്യം. അതാണ് അദ്ദേഹം ഇവിടെ മെൻഷൻ ചെയ്തിരുന്നത്. ആസ് എ യങ് ബോയ് വാട്ട് ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ഫ്രീഡം ഹി വാണ്ടഡ്, ആസ് എ grown up man what are the freedoms he wanted. That is, he wanted to do a job, he wanted to marry and having a family, freedom to be, he wanted a freedom which should not be obstructed. Clear? But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. He had seen that not only he was not getting the freedom, even his brothers and sisters were also not getting freedom. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed. Curtail means reduced. But the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. That is when I realized that he was not getting the freedom. What did he do? He joined in the National Congress. That is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my people. എൻ്റെ ഫ്രീഡം ഞാൻ എന്തായിട്ട് മാറ്റി? എൻ്റെ ആൾക്കാരുടെ ഫ്രീഡത്തിന് കൂടി വേണ്ടി ഞാൻ ഓർക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി. It was this desire for the freedom of people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life. അത് എൻ്റെ ജീവിതം തന്നെ എന്നെ മാറ്റിമറിച്ചു. ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഉള്ള ഫ്രീഡത്തിന് വേണ്ടി, അത് അവരുടെ ഡിഗ്നിറ്റിക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഞാൻ പരിശ്രമിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങിയപ്പോൾ എൻ്റെ ലൈഫ് തന്നെ മാറ്റി. ആൻഡ് ട്രാൻസ്ഫോം മീ, ചേഞ്ച് മീ, ഫ്രൈറ്റൻഡ് യങ് മാൻ ഇൻ ടു എ ബോൾഡ് വൺ. പേടിച്ചിരുന്ന ഒരു മനുഷ്യനിൽ നിന്ന് ഞാൻ വളരെ ബോൾഡ് ആയിട്ടൊരു മനുഷ്യനായി മാറി. സോറി. ദാറ്റ് ഡ്രോവ് എ ലോ അബൈഡിങ് അറ്റോർണി ടു ബിക്കം എ ക്രിമിനൽ. എല്ലാ ലോയും ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു വക്കീലിൽ നിന്ന് ഞാനൊരു ക്രിമിനലായി മാറി. ദാറ്റ് ടേൺഡ് എ ഫാമിലി ലവിംഗ് ഹസ്ബൻഡ് ഇൻ ടു എ മാൻ വിത്തൗട്ട് എ ഹോം. ദാറ്റ് ഫോഴ്സ്ഡ് എ ലൈഫ് ലവിംഗ് മാൻ ടു ലൈവ് ലൈക്ക് എ monk. I am no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man. But I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. So when the others were not given the freedom, in small freedoms, who was not ready to enjoy? Nelson Mandela. So freedom is indivisible. Indivisible means which cannot be divided. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരാൾക്ക് ഫ്രീഡം കിട്ടിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞങ്ങൾക്കും എല്ലാവർക്കും അത് ഫ്രീഡം ഇല്ലാത്തതുപോലെ ആണ്. The chains on all my people were the chains on me. ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരാളുടെ പുറത്ത് റെസ്ട്രിക്ഷൻസ് വന്നാൽ അതെല്ലാം എനിക്ക് വരുന്ന റെസ്ട്രിക്ഷൻ ആയിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ കരുതിയിരുന്നത്. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice. Prejudice means dislike and narrow-mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom. നമ്മൾ മറ്റൊരാളുടെ ഫ്രീഡത്തിൽ അവിടെ തടസ്സപ്പെടുത്തിയാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളും നമുക്കും എന്തില്ലാതാവുകയാണ്? ഫ്രീഡം ഇല്ലാതാവുകയാണ്. Just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. രണ്ടുപേരിലും എന്തില്ലെന്നാ പറയുന്നത്? ഹ്യൂമാനിറ്റി ലാക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നു. The person who are stopping the freedom and the person who are stopped by other is also, both of them are lacking what? Humanity. Okay, I think you understood the lesson. We already learned, taught in the 2 classes. I think only 1 class. Now it is mixed. So all of you please once again read it. Now we will start with the our workbook. So students, we are starting with the workbook of Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. So the first question, it is for you to write, that is, you have read the story about Nelson Mandela in your textbook First Flight and the struggle of the people of South Africa. Mandela draws our attention to the meaning and importance of freedom and leading a life with freedom. He states that freedom comes with responsibilities. Discuss with your peers. Now you can do that. How freedom and responsibilities go hand in hand. That is about how both of them used to go together. That's what you have to write. So you have to think about it and then write. So for example, I tell you the hateful apartheid was replaced by a republic where all the people are equal rights and responsibilities. The hard-earned freedom demands certain responsibilities, isn't it? Only by offering ourselves towards our responsibilities and duties as a citizen, we can preserve our hard-earned freedom. So it is true that freedom and responsibilities go hand in hand. We all should think about it. That's what you have to write in this. The next is a reading comprehension. Please do the reading comprehension and we will discuss these answers after your examination. So you can do it after the examination because it has, the comprehension has vocabulary part also. It's a big one. So it's not possible for us to discuss in this now in this online class because there is no use. You have to do it. Clear? Now we will start with the grammar portion, that is use of articles. You all know there are definite article and indefinite article. So let us start with the first exercise. The weapons. First one is the weapons of the World War were violence, brute force, political and military moves and counter moves. As a result of the churning of the ocean, the world has emitted poison. That poison is spreading all over and there is none to swallow it. The countries which were free have managed to digest it somewhat, but we who have just attained our freedom, it is hard to do the same. Therefore, those who think that having attained freedom, they have attained everything, have really attained nothing. The freedom. Last one is the freedom. Clear? Next is, you have to do another exercise. Then which article almost frequently occurs in the passage? It is the definite article the. Next exercise, that is 3. Fill in the blanks with suitable articles again. A boy and a girl were shopping in a market. The boy was from Kerala and the girl was from Nagaland. Next one. Can you turn off the light? Next one. He has taken a taxi to the station. Next one. Is there a police station nearby? Next. My sister works in a bank. Next. He has been looking for a job for the last 7 years. Would you like to eat an apple? He goes to the theater once a month. This morning, I bought a newspaper and a magazine. The newspaper is on my table and I forgot where I have placed the magazine. We would like to have dinner at a good restaurant. Clear? The next one is editing. The following passage has an error in each line. Find the error and write the correct word or words against the line. This you do it as homework, then we will do it next class we will discuss, that is after the examination we will do it, because if I do everything I will be doing, there is no use. Clear? The next page there is a speaking, that is you have to write, that is discuss with your partner, put your own ideas what freedom means to you, for you have to write. You can write that after the examination. You can write here. There is another writing section. Make pairs. One of you take the role of Nelson Mandela, the other becomes the interviewer. That's not possible. Now there is no regular school, so you have to make your own interview. If you have to interview the personality, what are the questions to be framed? That is what. That this you leave it. It is not necessary to do this exercise. The project also not necessary to do. Clear? Now you have to do 2 homework, that is one is comprehension, the other one is the editing. You can do both the exercise after the exam. Thank you.